Welcome. I'm going to ask Jody to come up and lead us in the pledge for anyone who would like to join us.
All right, follow me. I pledge allegiance to the and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to try this again. So.
All right. Thank you. And Doug is going to share an inspiration with us today.
I'm going to share an inspiration once I figure out.
Once we get the.
To me. Is that, can you still hear us in Zoom land? I'm switching microphones.
Can you guys?
Can you hear us?
We got
Okay.
thumbs up. Awesome.
Microphone. Okay. Inspiration. From my memory of the wall in my house. Beverly has lots of things on the wall. One of them I think that stands out, I think is really appropriate, is from Maya Angelou, and a number of people have said it over various times, which is people will remember not what you've said or what you've done, but people will remember how you made them feel. And so it's an easy thing to say, but the reality is, you know, to be nice to people and to make them feel comfortable, make them feel welcome, and to give them grace to be wrong and to be right and to say different things and say things we may not agree with, but that's it.
Thank you. All right. Do we have any visiting Rotarians? We're a small group inside here. Online, I'm looking. I don't see any visiting Rotarians, but I do know that we have guests. I don't even know that we have guests. I think it's just us today. Well, welcome everyone. We do have a couple of new members coming up the pike. So today is the first posting for Donna Sparrow, who was sponsored by Kirk. So she'll be coming through soon. And today we get to introduce and induct our newest member, Michelle Kite. So if she wants to come up. And I think Michelle was Brenda, your sponsor. Yeah. Brenda Patton was your sponsor. So thank you to Brenda for introducing her to us. So this is Michelle. We got your red badge for you, and there's a checklist inside of how you can turn this into a blue badge. Get to know our club a little bit better. And there's a whole host of little goodies in here and more information. And I'm sure Bev has got you assigned to a badge buddy and some mentors. So hopefully you'll get started right away with us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, let's get a picture.
All right.
Okay. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Always so great to see so many new members coming into the club. Awesome. All right. I know we have a whole series of announcements today. So Jody, if you want to come up, and then I know Jim Lefevre has an announcement and Doug has an announcement. So
All right. Well, needless to say, we're coming up really soon here on our backpack program. It will be on the 12th, so just a couple Mondays away from now. One of the things that we've got is we've got the bread that we're purchasing. Now, the bread's not going to be put in the backpacks because we don't want it squished. However, I'm going to send out an email to everybody, and especially for those of you that are delivering to the schools with the backpacks, I need to know if you're going to have room for 15 to 20 loaves of bread to take also, and then they're going to go with little plastic bags so that the kids can carry those and then wear the backpacks home. If you do not have the room to do it, we need to know, because then we're going to need some other people to be bread deliverers to the schools for us, for those that cannot get there. So I will be sending that out, and that's something that we need to be thinking about. But this way, you know, they're going to be able to make a sandwich. They're going to have peanut butter, jelly, and bread, you know, on top of the other types of food items. So we're very, very excited about it. I know it's going to be a little cumbersome, but it will be a good thing. So we've got that. Switching hats. December 22nd, be ready for our right left ornament exchange. So be getting your ornaments. We're going to be here, and we want all of you in Wonderland over there to be here in person so we can do our ornament exchange and have a whole big group of us. So we will have a lot of fun. That's all.
thank you, Jody. Yeah, December 22nd is a great day to be here in person if you can. Doug, did you want to make an announcement?
Okay, I've got two announcements. One is going to be, Bev's going to share screen. There are photographs down there somewhere. You work on that. So first announcement is foreign exchange students interview weekend is December 10th. So we need to volunteer to help interview potential foreign exchange students that will go out to other countries. And so what we're asking you to do is to show up at North Valley High School, which is Merlin area, December 10th, 8:45 to 3:30. And your job is to determine whether the student in front of you is kind of mature enough is one of the questions. Do they want to be there? Is it something their parents are pushing or whether they're wanting to be there? And then B, the other thing that sort of has happened in the past, 1 in 10 or 1 in 20 foreign exchange students is they're not really interested in learning new cultures. And so part of what you're trying to discern from that foreign exchange student is not, are they going to be an extrovert so much as extrovert versus introvert, but are they going to go there and learn about the other culture? Or they're just going to be stuck in their sort of what they've always done. And so we need interviewers to go there to try to figure this out if this is an appropriate person. It's 1 in 10, 1 in 20 that we reject. But we need people to go there and decide that. So if you're interested in being a foreign exchange student interviewer, you interview the student and then you interview the parents to make sure they're going to be okay with it as well. Let me know, raise your hand or put your hand on Zoom and I will put you down and send you an email about the details. So if anybody in the audience is interested in that, December 10th, Saturday, Josh, Jim. Okay, good. I got you. Anybody else? If anybody on Zoom would let me know, I will click you in there. You can let me know some other way as well. Okay, my second announcement is December 2nd. Tomorrow is one portion of our Food for Kids program, which these photos that are being shared with you are from the county school system, excuse me. And what they did is they went and spent a few $1,000s at Costco and they gathered up a whole lot of food, filled a few vehicles up with the food. And that is for pantries at the schools to give food to the kids that come in that are in need. Debbie Brownell was contacted by the schools and said after COVID happened, the system where nonprofits created a food pantries at the schools for kids that were in need sort of collapsed at COVID. And so Deb Brownell brought that need to us, and we, the Wednesday Club and then our club and the other clubs got together and said, okay, we can recreate this system where we provide food to the schools can hand it out to the kids that are in need, sort of a pantry at the school itself. And this is the first phase of it. And these two teachers went to Costco and bought a whole bunch of food. And that's what you all bought the other day with those boxes. And so first photographs to show you what we're doing. And then the announcement is tomorrow, December 2nd, 1 to 4 p.m. at the food bank, stuffing boxes that will go to the schools themselves. So if you're interested in that, 1 to 4 p.m. at the food bank farm out there on Low River Road. That's it. Thank you.
Yep. Beth, if you want to come up and then Jim Lefebvre.
Hi, everybody. Delynn asked me to give a message. North Valley High School is having their Christmas Bazaar. It's happening December 3rd, this Saturday from 9 to 4. And our Interact students, you gave them buttons, they made their ornaments and they'll be selling the ornaments for $4 to raise money for the Thirst Project. And the Thirst Project uses money raised to help build wells in a village in Eswatini, Africa. So you can support them and you can get your ornaments there if you'd like.
Yes, the time 9 to 4? 9 to 4 on Saturday. And I included a photo for anybody who saw the email that came out today. They shared a little photo of what the ornaments look like. They're very cute little button Christmas trees. Jim, and while he's coming up, I will announce for Dan, because this is tied to Jim's announcement. CASA is looking for businesses who are willing to host a Christmas giving tree, and Jim can share a little bit about what that looks like.
Hi, Jim Lefebvre here. My wife Jolene and I, am I doing something wrong?
No, real close.
Get closer. Lift it up. Okay, Jim LaFever here. My wife Jolene and I are CASA, newly appointed, and we chose to do that after the presentation that Dan Mata, a new member of ours, had given to this club. What is CASA? Court-appointed special advocates for kiddos in this community. There's about 300 of them. Children are sometimes appointed wards of the court for reasons beyond their control. CASA is a bridge to helping these kids. We represent them. We are an advocate for the children. Now, all these kids can use presents for Christmas. Some of them are coming from areas that, places that they just aren't available. So we have a Christmas tree at Star Automotive that has these cards on them. And I would encourage and ask that members here would commit to taking a card, getting a gift, and taking it to Star and leaving it there. Now, CASA is also looking for other businesses to put a tree at, so we can get gifts for all these kids. So anybody that's interested, please see me. I'll give you a card unwrapped and before December 15th, because on December 15th, that's when the Josephine County Sheriff is going to be visiting the local businesses and picking up all these gifts to deliver to CASA.
Can I jump in? Is it okay if I jump in?
Please.
Okay, thank you, Jim, for being a Giver Tree location for us. It's actually Grants Pass PD has partnered with us this year to be our sleigh committee. We'll have 2 patrol cars. Hopefully they can do some lights and sirens and play some music on their intercom. That's what we're hoping for. We'll have Santa coming around and going to some locations to pick up these gifts to get to the kids. It's really great opportunity for everyone to get involved with these children, and we're happy to be partnered with Grants Pass PD. And we're hoping or looking for also if anyone has any connections to get some media coverage on it. These locations will be recognized, and we'll try to get some kind of media coverage. If anyone has maybe Channel 10, Channel 12, or something like that. Channel 5. Yeah. So if anybody has any connections, we're hoping to get some media coverage for December 14th. And I'm waiting on Santa to get back with me on the time that he's available on the 14th.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dan. Josie. Wonderful. So there is a tree at the chamber. Does anybody else have a business with a tree? I think Steve's got one down at Row Motors. So yeah, if you have a business, or if you know of a business that might be interested, get in touch with Dan so you guys can set up a tree before the deadline. Otherwise, find a card and buy a gift. Thank you. Any other announcements before we move on? Anybody else on Zoom? I don't see anyone. I don't see anyone in the room. All right. Well, it's the first of the month. I can't believe it's already the first of the month. That snuck up real fast. I didn't get my president's letter out in time, so you'll have to wait till next week for that. But the first of the month means one of our favorite programs. It is a member vocational. So we get to hear from our new members. We've already heard from Josh before because he spoke to us actually on the day that he was inducted into our club. He was a speaker. But today we actually get to hear more about him. So I'll welcome Josh up.
Hi, everybody. You guys can hear me okay and on Zoom world okay? Okay. I'm going to take this off because now all of a sudden it's getting hot being up here on the stage. So hold on just a sec. Number 2. So my name is Josh Balloch. I'm the my day job is I'm the Vice President of Government Affairs for All Care Health. All Care is a group here, and I'll talk a little bit more about it. But we are basically, in a nutshell, what do you call it? An insurance company, basically. So, but we take care of folks on Medicare and Medicaid. So extremely poor people and older people, essentially, is where we're at. And then we've also kind of branched out into a few other places, which I'll talk about. So if we go to number 2, or Hold on just a second. So I'll just tell you guys a little bit about kind of my history and kind of like where I came from to start off with. So as the Vice President of Government Affairs, I'm in charge of basically all of the lobbying and government affairs kind of interactions that All Care has with. So All Care, I would say about 99% of our dollars come from some sort of federal or state funding. So having that kind of viewpoint into what goes on inside of the government is incredibly important to continue your funding. So I essentially I'm a registered lobbyist. I actually go around and actually work with local officials. I have to actually file as a lobbyist and say, hey, are you buying dinners or lunches for people and stuff like that with the Ethics Commission. And often, and my running joke is anytime anybody comes up to me and says, hey, what do you do for a living? I always say I'm a damn dirty lobbyist, and then nobody wants to talk to me. So it works out great. But a lot of people, though, if they do get past that, they're like, how the hell did you become a lobbyist? Like, that's such a weird job. So I grew up in Newport. I was a kid. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I kind of like started out looking at law school and figured out really quickly being a lawyer sucks because you have to follow the rules. So I was like, I don't want to do it. Yep. Is that better? It's got to be on my chin. Is that better? Okay. So I ended up trying to be a lawyer and decided being a lawyer, you have to follow the rules, and that's lame, and I don't want to do that. So so I was kind of bouncing around watching the election results of 2020 or 2000, and it was the Bush v. Gore election. And I remember I was sitting there watching every news station, every event. And at the time I was a really big Al Gore supporter. And I realized really early that he'd lost the election because he'd lost the conventional wisdom fight in the media. And I was writing like briefs just out like over and over again. I probably had like 200 pages worth of stuff. And my girlfriend at the time said, "You're an idiot. What are you doing?" And I was like, "Well, I'm really interested in this stuff." She said, "Well, go to college and go do that." So that's what I did. So I decided that I wanted to major in political science, and so went to Oregon State University. And my goal was to help get 5 people elected that wouldn't have got elected if I hadn't been there, because I believe that 5 people can change the world. And so started out doing campaign politics. I was getting ready to go to George Washington University back in DC to go to the School of Political Management, and ended up interning / volunteering for a state Senate race on the Oregon coast, which is where I was from. And it became the most targeted race in all of the state. It was actually a control of the chamber was there. And ended up just kind of getting involved, and met then Democratic leader Kate Brown, and then Senate President Peter Courtney. And they're like, "Well, you seem like you're kind of engaged. Like what are you going to do?" I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go back to DC and get more schooling." They're like, "You're an idiot. You don't need more schooling. You need more experience." So when the Democrats ended up getting control, I ended up getting a job offer to work in the Senate Majority Office under Kate Brown as the outreach coordinator, communications director for the Senate Democrats. And that was kind of my intro. Ran a few more campaigns, helped on a lot of other stuff, actually ended up getting my 5 folks elected that wouldn't have gotten elected otherwise. In fact, I have a tattoo on my shoulder, which I will not show you guys, but it's just 5 check marks. It's like, bam, did it. So that's my marker. But as time went along, I ended up helping Senator Ben Westland become treasurer. And when he was treasurer, he actually passed away as treasurer. And I ended up losing my job when he ended up passing away. And my wife and I had gotten together and was like, "Oh, well, we've got, I've got a family now," because she had a 2.5-year-old daughter. I need a real job. I never wanted to be a lobbyist, thought that they were stupid and dumb. And I'm more of a political hack. I really love politics and polling and those types of things. And I never really went. A lobbyist is really a policy wonk. I mean, they're aggressive policy wonk, but that's what they are. So, but my friend worked at a lobby firm and said, "Hey, they're hiring." I'm like, "Oh, great, I need a paycheck." So I showed up and ended up getting dumped onto an account because I had done a few town halls around healthcare working on healthcare policy. And when I came in, it was 2010 going into 2011, and the CCOs, this brand new thing that was a state of the art, were getting invented, and our lobby firm happened to be one of the major players that were there. And I was a brand new lobbyist, didn't know anything about healthcare policy, didn't know anything about that, but I understood how to follow the budget and follow money, and ended up in these really high-end negotiations that created the CCOs. So I just happened to be in the room when they got created. And as a result, I ended up making very good friends with Senator Dr. Alan Bates, really kind of getting on the ground floor around Oregon's very unique and innovative policy. Yes. What's a CCO? Sorry. A CCO is a coordinated care organization. It is essentially how Oregon, it's a subcontractor for the Oregon Health Plan, and then they deliver those services and they contract with providers to be able to make sure that people are getting healthcare that they need. So, and there's also a lot of innovative things that are attached to that, which I'll talk about here in just a bit. Long story short, we ended up passing this bill. We create the CCOs. I can honestly say that we had the enabling legislation. So and the kind of the briefing, I actually got to write a lot of that stuff that actually went to the White House. So I can say Barack Obama actually read a briefing that I actually wrote, which is pretty insane. So, you know, it was just, it was a really neat place, but I mean, literally been doing lobbying for 2 years, and all of a sudden I'm like literally influencing stuff at the DC level. But Oregon was able to leverage a couple $2 billion out of the feds to be able to pay for the startup of Medicaid and a transforming of it. And yeah, the next thing I knew, I kind of was one of the experts in the state around healthcare policy and the CCO model, and did that for a few years, helped get a lot of CCOs started around the state. And looking around the state, All Care was the one that was like really taking chances and really investing upstream and not afraid to say yes. Because in the insurance business, it's all about risk. So people just generally are like, no, I'm not going to take a risk. All Care wasn't afraid to do that. And I had no connections down to Southern Oregon. Like I literally was from Newport, but didn't really know anybody other than Doc Bates. And he convinced me and that it's a great place to raise a family. And I really wanted to be a part of both All Care because they were taking a chance, and I wanted to be a part of that experience. But I also took a look at Grants Pass and was like, this place is changing for the better, and I'd love to be a part of that upswing. So we took the chance, and just me and my family moved down here. I've got my wife, and her name's Tristan, and then my daughter Austin, who's 9, and my older daughter Rowan, who's a junior in high school. She's 16, so, and just got her driver's license, so I'm still coping with that. So yeah, so that's a long story of like how I ended up here. And I've continued to be kind of a public policy lobbyist up in Salem. I don't get up there. I'm not living in the building like I was when I was a contract lobbyist, but I still think, you know, the vast majority of the people who are, you know, in the legislature still know me as one of those people who are really engaged and really understand the CCO lobbying. And as I don't know if I joked this last time, but it is true, of the 3 women who had ran for governor, all 3 of them have personally yelled at me. So I have that going for me. So that's just a little bit about me. Go ahead and how I became a damn dirty lobbyist. So next, 4. Yep, there we go. A little bit about All Care Health. So I talked a little bit about that. So we're a coordinated care organization. We are also a Medicare Advantage plan. So we take care of seniors. We take care of folks that are poor. We've also branched out into 2 other things relatively recently that aren't up here. One is we actually are starting our own clinic system where we're actually hiring doctors to be able to take care of folks and recruit people in. And really we're using it as a recruitment tool because many of the doctors today don't want to do the hard work of like being a business person. They want to do what they went to school to do, which is take care of folks. So we're trying to like ease that administrative burden so that they can spend time doing what they do best. And then we also started a PACE program, which, if you guys ever want, I can bring in somebody to come and talk about the PACE program. It's up here on the hill. Just long story short, it's basically a system to help people stay at home and as they're aging. So people with very complex problems can actually age in place, which is pretty exciting. So it is the second PACE program in the state, and it's the only one based in rural Oregon. So we're pretty lucky to have that, and All Care spent a lot of time, energy, and effort to really get this up and running. But I will tell you this much: if you do have a person that is aging and having issues staying home, it is a great way to keep them home and safe and making sure they're getting the care. Yes. Anybody's eligible, but generally speaking, dual eligibles are the ones that end up using it, because there are some associated costs with it if you've got too much money. So it's a little bit of an in-between place where interestingly, I'm actually trying to work with a federal delegation and actually Senator Ron Wyden to fix that problem right now. So we're literally working on that as we speak. But yeah, it's a really cool program. Yes. Okay, so my anti-air conditioner story. So when we were creating the CCOs, John Kitzhaber had this big story that he kept talking about. It was like, look, you've got a little old lady who's living in an attic apartment and it's 108 degrees outside. Her blood pressure gets super high. She's going to end up having a heart attack, end up in the ER, and it's going to be $65,000. Versus if we just gave her an air conditioner, then it's for $250. She's fine and you're all set. So that's the air conditioner story. It became so ubiquitous in the healthcare discussion. Everybody kind of knows it and rolls their eyes when they said it. So I have the anti-air conditioner story, which is actually All Care had a member who was he went in for stitches or for I think a colonoscopy or something, or not colorectal cancer setup. And he had these massive stitches, and two days later, he comes back in with all of his stitches popped. And they're like, so we sent a care coordinator over and said, hey, why are you back in the ER? Like, what's going on? And he said, well, my house is heated with wood, and my idiot son wouldn't get up and go cut the wood. So I went outside and went and cut the wood. And so we said, okay, don't do that. And we will make a deal with you. If you agree to not cut any more wood, we will have a cord of fresh cut wood that you don't have to worry about ever dealt with. So that's the anti-air conditioner story, right? This is about heat, not cooling, but it's the same general process, right? And that's the really cool thing about being a CCO is that we have the ability to kind of look at the overall health of an individual as opposed to just that one little, 10% of your health, which is the doctor's appointment. Because what we ran into really quickly, and this happened at All Care in particular, and recognize this really quickly, was that, we get extra money if we keep everybody's A1C levels or like diabetes under control. So we get extra money to do that. So we have these doctors so that we incentivize, we say, we'll share savings and share stuff with you if you do that. Well, our primary care doctors were running around saying, we have, Bob comes in, we do everything we can to keep his A1C levels under control. But Bob lives in his car and can't get fresh fruits and vegetables, so he can't control his A1C. What do we do? And so All Care really kind of started, okay, well, we have to start using the social safety net to keep this person healthy. And what we found was there were a bunch of holes in the social safety net, and All Care, to their credit, and this is why I got really excited, started to stitch the safety net back together, to start spending money on building these systems. But you can't just go around and say, okay, we're only going to help people on Medicaid, right? It is a safety net that catches everyone. And a large part, because we have small institutions, we can't just say, here's $100,000, just take care of the Medicaid folks like they can in Portland. Down here, if we don't fund it fully, it implodes. And so that's how they've really done it. And the thing that I, as a lobbyist, do more than anything is fight with the Oregon Health Authority and the legislature to explain to them, this is how it works down here. We have to fully fund this, but we only get reimbursed for the folks we help on Medicaid. So if we help the whole community, we actually get penalized for that. That's considered administrative dollars. And then we get cut that next year. That's the reality that we live in. And to the credit of All Care, they've kind of said, F it, we're gonna make the investment and we don't care. Let's change the way the legislature does their work, not change the way that we need to be able to help our community. So that's kind of who we are. So let's see. kind of talk about social determinants. Go to number 8. So this is a list of all the CCOs in the state. It's a hodgepodge of other things. All Care serves Jackson, Josephine, and Curry counties, and then extreme southern Douglas County. So the community of Glendale is actually in our service area. And the reason why is the folks there actually don't go north to Roseburg because particularly of the Canyonville Mountain that's right there. They actually come south for most of their health care. And so we actually service them. And the really cool thing is we actually have we helped locate a nurse practitioner up there. It's the first provider that community's had in 26 years. Yeah, actually stationed in their community, which is really cool. So the fun thing. So this is a list of all the CCOs that you can kind of see. You know, we're actually down. This is an old picture. We're actually down to about 11. You're seeing a lot of consolidation, and that's actually a big threat for a community like ours, because as you consolidate, it's very easy to forget about, you know, rural or Southern Oregon, because we're only 10% of the population. You know, 60% lives in the metro area. So it's one of those other things that I'm constantly fighting and trying to educate people on. So let's go to number 9. 9. Is there that one? Yeah. So so this is something that is out of date. This is 2016 data, but I want to like highlight Josephine County. You'll see they're the darkest color by far. And this is and what this is the percentage of the population that is on Medicaid right now. By the way, those numbers are probably all much higher now. So right now, I think that says about 40% are on Medicaid. My gut says about 50% of Josephine County is on Medicaid right now. It's because of some other screwbally things going on, but in essence, it is one of the largest insurers, if not the largest insurer in Southern Oregon, and it is really, really important. And the expansion of Medicaid actually really kind of ended up becoming, and why I think we're so particularly high, is it moved it from people who are below poverty to people who are right on that cusp, and it's really starting to insure young families, because those are the folks that are really on that cusp. And so that's what's happened. So if you go to like a coffee stand or anywhere around here, you're probably talking to somebody who's on Medicaid. I mean, it's pretty much top to bottom. So it's, you know, and so it's really important that we've got a good, robust local programs in place that can help keep these people safe and healthy, and because it is a cornerstone of what our economy is. So you know, like I said, these numbers will probably continue to go up, but yeah, it is a real impact to who and what we are. I do one more here, number 18. So I'm just going to do this real quick. This is something that we have been working on for a long time, and this is like how my crazy, stupid brain works. So this is what's known as the hospital provider tax, and it's how it was set up. Actually, we'll just go to the next one because I'll explain it later. So the way this works in Oregon is that we actually pull down federal dollars from the federal government hold on. So what we do is we tax our hospitals 6% of their revenues. We then show that to the federal government, and then they send us back 3 times that amount of money. So they send in 6%, say it's $100 million. They send us back $300 million. Then we take that $200 million and fund that for Medicaid, and then give the other $100 million back to the hospitals through different kind of like setups. And I'm just telling you guys this because that's how convoluted and crazy the entire funding structure for Medicaid. And this is the relatively simple version of this stuff. You want to have a lot of fun? Let's get into Medicaid, into county funding of mental health. I mean, it's just, I couldn't diagram that out on this whole wall. So it is incredibly complicated. It's incredibly Byzantine, but it is really exciting. And it is always constantly changing. I mean, we have, this is a really good example of like, we had one program, we kind of edited it. We were going to find another place, you know, and that's, you know, the really exciting stuff. So let's go back to number 2 here. So yeah, that's just a little piece of like who and what I do on a daily basis. So I don't know if you guys want to know anything else about me or any other questions, I'm happy to ask. But other than in my free time, I like to watch the Chicago Cubs and then complain about them sucking. So that's essentially my free time. Because otherwise I just do whatever the three women in my life are all redheads. So there's a high degree of accountability. And I found that if I just do whatever they say, they allow me to live there. So that's essentially the way it works. Yeah.
Then everybody else is getting. And he had insurance, but not many people would take his insurance. I can't remember what it was called, but it was through Harris and stuff. So our doctors, every doctor have to take that, or is it always going to be, you have to go to this doctor or that one?
So just to kind of repeat the question here. So essentially, when you're dealing with folks on Medicaid or any kind of like program that's out there, even Medicare, do doctors have to take that? And really what you're asking is how is the access for folks on Medicaid to be able to access these things? So the one really cool thing, and I didn't really get into this, that All Care is we are a provider-owned group. So basically, we started out of an independent physicians association and then morphed into kind of this big thing that's called All Care today. And as a result, as being an owner and a provider in the community, almost every provider that's an independent provider that comes into Josephine County is a member of All Care. And as part of that, you are as your ownership, you have to see Medicaid. So in our community, folks on Medicaid do get a lot more access than you'll find in, like, say, the Portland metro area, where there are some that cherry pick, right? They only want commercial insurance. And this is back of the envelope, but the way to kind of think about this and the payment structures and why you see some people take Medicaid and not, is that if Medicare is what it costs to see the patient and provide the service, so we're going to call that 100%. Commercial pays about 140%. And Medicaid pays about 65%. And so essentially what's happened is you have a cost shift going on where commercial pays higher. So if you have commercial insurance, you are not just paying for yourself, you are also paying for the Medicaid side. But if you are a provider, you have to balance that out, right? If you have too many people in the Medicaid bucket, then you don't have enough money to keep the lights on. So you have to have a balance as the way that it's set up. And that is, it's a little better since we got the CCOs up and running, because what we've been able to do is say, we'll pay you 65 cents on the dollar, but we'll make an agreement with you that if we can save money, then we'll pay you a higher rate. So essentially, if you can do those upstream investments, keep Bob, healthy, then we'll share that savings, and you can kind of balance this stuff out a little bit and push that up. So that is in essence the way that it's worked in Josephine County, but they keep putting more and more, they keep cutting rates at the state level. They keep putting more bureaucratic administrative burdens on providers. And I am very worried that at one point or another, there's going to be a revolt and providers just go, look, this is garbage. I can't keep my doors open. I'm literally spending all my time filling up paperwork. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm just going to go to full flat pay, and I'm not going to see Medicaid anymore. And that has happened. There's over in Jackson County, a very large group of primary care doctors did that. They just said, we are a concierge service. You show up, you pay us cash. That's the end of it. We don't see any insurance. We don't see anything. Doug?
Is All Care unique in the way it delivers CCO care, or its quality or its services, or is that sort of the average way other CCOs do it?
I will put on my All Care lobbyist hat just so that you guys know. It should look the way that All Care does it, but I think if the overall system's kind of built that same way, but All Care just does it a little bit better, if that makes sense. And they tend to be a little more invested in the community, in part because it's a smaller entity that is locally based versus if it's a, you know, like Pacific Source is a good example. They have Bend, Salem, Eugene, part of the Portland metro area. They're kind of scattered all over the place. And so they just kind of cherry pick the providers they can get the best rates for that, and then they shove everybody into that. Versus down here with the all care one, where we've been like, no, we want to maintain as much access as possible, quite frankly, because there aren't enough providers. So we don't really have a choice, right? It's like, we need you to see our members because we don't have enough providers. So it's, so you just have more access and a lot more flexibility versus kind of a bureaucratic kind of insurance model that you find in other parts of the state. So, yeah.
You know, we're right now, Medicare age people getting all this stuff coming in from ridiculous numbers of insurance companies advertising no premium, no pay on prescriptions. How does that compare with what all care would have? Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, so essentially it's a question around Medicare Advantage. So, and what is going on inside of these types of things, and also like how all care kind of engages inside of this. So we have on the all care side of stuff for the coordinated care organization. So this is Medicaid. There are no premiums, there are no copays, there's nothing. It is, you show up, you see the person, you go. That's Medicaid. On Medicare, which we do offer a Medicare Advantage product, I don't know exactly how we work, but I think we have a zero premium plan that essentially what you do there is you trade out your Part B Medicare and where you can go anywhere you want, wherever you want, but you have to pay some copays and some other things. And you trade that out for a managed care setting where you get better services and better coverage, but you have to only see the providers that they are contracted with. And so that's in essence what the trade-off is. But it gets super flipping complicated. And that's the other thing too. It's like, it is healthcare in particular, it can never be outsourced because it is so individually based. Like everybody's individual needs are so different. You have to give people those flexibilities to make those decisions, because not one plan is going to benefit everybody. So, yes.
You had mentioned that just in County, we got very high percent of people who are Medicaid. Do you think that affects our ability to recruit younger doctors to the community? Because I know a lot of doctors are getting older, they're retiring, and we do what you think younger doctors. Yeah. Do you think that impacts it?
So the question is, does the higher Medicaid rate of rate of people on Medicaid reduce our ability to be able to recruit new doctors into the community? And the short answer is you would think it does, but the answer is really no, because everybody's struggling from top to bottom to find any kind of doctor. Yeah. If anything, I think there's a little bit of like the new doctors that are coming out, generally speaking, these kind of like late millennials, early Gen Zers, they really want to be doctors and really don't want to be business people. Like they totally realize that like that's an awful world and I don't want to deal with that stuff. So if somebody's willing to take that off of their plate so that they can focus on being doctors, that's where they're going. And the interesting thing is what you're seeing is in some places, it's easier to do that in Oregon, in part because we kind of have this large Medicaid population. You kind of create a budget that will work. And so like in our federally qualified health centers like Siskiyou fill that void as well. So we'll see what happens in like 10 years. Because if you kind of look at how the boomers worked, they kind of did something very similar when they got out of medical school in like the 50s, 60s. They kind of like got out, they worked for a hospital for about 5 years. And then they were like, I want to be my own person. I don't want to punch a clock anymore. And then you saw birth of the independence. So you might see that happen again, or you might not. There's a ton of consolidation. And I mean, we're really lucky here in Southern Oregon that we have an independent kind of insurance group and an independent provider group in all care and an independent outside of the group in Asante. Like they legitimately are a one of a kind of thing. Like the Asantes of the world are getting gobbled up left and right. And I'm so happy that we've got a partner like that here in our community that is locally based and does understand like, hey, this is we understand our community. This isn't some big, Providence kind of folks telling us what to do. So a little pitch out there. Yes, ma'am.
Finding five other, young people like yourself to get involved in, public policy and, making this a better world about the areas that you work in. And, again, I want to thank you.
Well, I can tell you this much, though, in my spare time, I also serve on the All Care Health Community Foundation, which is a standalone nonprofit that helps on housing and things like that. And you do have some amazing people that have been part of that work, like a shout out to Sam Engel, who has just been a tireless, merciless champion of addressing the housing issues in our community. So, and I am always pleasantly surprised how many younger folks that are out there that are just deciding to just do stuff and fix things, but don't want to be involved in institutions to do it. They don't want the institution in the way. They're not fighting to get it done. And I always get really inspired. So they're out there. I just, I'm just one of these silly people who are crazy enough to get up in front of a whole group of people and be like, this is the stupid stuff I do. So any other questions? Oh, last one.
Okay. Thank you. For your work. And, okay, in a historical joke, Sisyphus said, rolling the boulder up the hill, at least I have a job. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you, Josh. We are running a little close, but I think we still have time for Sergeant at Arms if Kelly would like to come up and folks can get their Zoom hands and their menu ready for Happy Bucks.
Okay. So, Baron, you don't get to leave. Four reasons to be thankful this holiday season. By the way, this is a direct microphone. Having been a musical director for so many years, you hold it up like an ice cream cone. And so this happens, you lose. Okay, so you understand. So, okay. Number one, here's the first reason to be grateful. This is December 1st. You're alive. When all else fails, that's a pretty good thing to be thankful for. Some people can't say the same to themselves. It's hard, at least you have life, you have chance. You can do something with your life and with yourself. You can make a difference in the lives of others. Number two, you have a family. Whatever your family situation is like, you most likely have some kind of family. You may have parents, grandparents, uncles, adopted parents, a friend. Some of them may even have heard. But you're lucky enough to have someone or something who loves you and cares about you. Number three, you've got access to food. Not everyone has easy access to food, but at least there's plenty of food available for you. Even if dinner consists of a 99-cent can of soup from the gas station, you can be grateful for that meal. If you can afford a fridge full of food that you forget about and let spoil, then you have something that many people would literally kill for. And number four, our Mother Earth loves you. Whether you celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Diwali, or some other festival of life this month, we love this new planet. We call home and remind ourselves that with love comes responsibility. So, with that, happy bucks or sad bucks. I got 20 bucks to start because my youngest daughter who lives in Houston asked me to find Rotary in Houston, so she can help her find it because she wants to be a part of it. Okay. Okay. Ready to pass the mic? Who's got some bucks? Greg. You're on, but you're muted.
There we go. Sorry, pressing the wrong button. Today's the last day of the blue bag matching. And I want to give 20 happy bucks to the club for the fantastic job that we've done. We have donated $170 worth of returnable bottles and cans during this 2 or 3 week period. And the 20% match on that would be $34, which means we would go over $200 to $204 in 1 month, which is like 2 or 3 times more than any other month we've ever had. So congratulations and thank you, everyone. And I'll match that by another 10%. Good work. Bring it.
Because I started that first night for the first time this year, working with first graders, and it made my day. Thank you.
Talking about our literacy group. Okay, we're moving forward in that. We're going to have you up 15 minutes and please join us if you would like to be part of that.
Okay, happy bucks for Jim and Joey for being cost of this. That is a really hard thing to do. Myself right here. It's on this card. It says offense. Is that AIDS? I don't know anything. So this is the card. Those are size. Not AIDS. Okay.
Correctly, the sizes. Dan, correctly.
And tell us on this card for the cost of kids from the Christmas tree. Am I looking at it? It says top pants 6. Is that a size or a three? Okay, size. Okay, we'll figure it out then. Thanks.
So Jolene said to me, you guys stand up for happy bucks. Put in some happy bucks because the court actually quoted us, so.
Happy bucks for like they wouldn't even like that.
Awesome.
Okay, somebody come over to you. Oh, that's cute. Okay. Anybody else? About up there? Any other hands up? Okay, that's an order.
All right, thank you, Kelly. All right, so next week, we have Chris Hall from the Water League coming to talk to us, so that should be a great program. Thought for the day, today is Rosa Parks Day. And so I found this quote from her. She said, what really matters is not whether we have problems, but how we go through them. We must keep going on to make it through whatever we are facing. So thank you again to Josh, and it's great to see everyone, and we will see you again next week.